Hi everyone, and welcome to The Sleepy Scientist. I'm really happy you're here. Tonight, we're going to go on a calm and quiet trip to learn something amazing. So get comfy, take a deep breath, and let's enjoy this peaceful science story together. Before we start, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from and what time is it for you right now? If you like relaxing science videos, don't forget to tap the like button. Now let's begin. Imagine standing near the edge of something so heavy, so invisible that even light cannot pull away from its grasp. You do not fall, not yet, but your breath slows, your mind begins to feel stretched, as though thoughts themselves are bending. Time, which once felt familiar, an endless rhythm of seconds and seasons, now behaves like warm wax left in the sun, starts to drip, to sear, to pool in places you never expected. Near a black hole, clocks don't just tick slower, they melt in the gravity, not with heat, but with distortion, with surrender. Picture a space where gravity is not just a force but a sculptor, shaping the very fabric of existence. A black hole is not merely a thing, it is an event, a location in space-time where the rules we trust quietly step aside. Here, time becomes a river that slows to a trickle, then stills entirely, frozen at the lip of the unknown. Scientists call this the event horizon, the outer boundary. From the outside, something strange happens. If you were watching a friend fall toward a black hole, you would never see them cross the horizon. They would appear to slow down, to fade, their final moments stretched endlessly across your gaze, like a whisper trying not to vanish. But from your friend's perspective, they fall quickly. There is no pause, no delay, just descent. They would not feel time slowing. They would feel gravity increasing and their fall accelerating. The contradiction lives at the heart of relativity. Time is not absolute. It changes depending on where you are and how fast you move. Gravity and speed pull on time like wind on silk, and nowhere is this more visible than near a black hole. Einstein taught us this with general relativity, showing that massive objects don't just sit in space, they bend it. And when they bend space, they bend time too. The closer you are to something massive, the slower time moves for you compared to someone farther away. That's why GPS satellites need to adjust for time dilation every day. Up there, further from Earth's mass, their clocks tick slightly faster than those on the ground. If we ignored this, yes sir. Your phone would place you blocks away from where you actually stand. Now imagine that same principle but magnified 1,000-fold, 1,000,000-fold, 1,000,000,000. As you float closer to the black hole, your seconds become stretched compared to the rest of the universe. Days pass for you, but eons pass elsewhere. A single breath might cost you centuries of the stars above. Physicists use the term gravitational time dilation to describe this phenomenon, but words like that can feel cold, detached. What's happening is more dreamlike, more surreal. Time becomes uneven, textured, uncertain. It ripples and sags and slips between your fingers. In the center of our galaxy, the Milky Way, lives a black hole 4 million times the mass of our Sun. We call it Sagittarius A, invisible, silent, but not completely secret. We know it's there because of the way stars dance around it. Their orbits warped into dizzy ellipses. One star, named S2, orbits this darkness every 16 years, and each time it swings close, time bends. Not for the star, not exactly, but for us observing it. The light it sends arrives to us subtly stretched, red-shifted, a cosmic echo saying I am close to gravity. I feel the slow pull of time. Imagine riding on that star, feeling the slow spiral inward, the hush of cosmic gravity wrapping around you. Nothing feels wrong, nothing breaks, but everything feels thick, quiet, deliberate, like the universe is exhaling through molasses. The deeper you go, the more surreal time becomes. Black holes come in many sizes, from stellar ones born of dying stars to supermassive ones at the centres of galaxies. The bigger they are, the stranger the time near them becomes. In fact, around a supermassive black hole, time can slow so drastically that you could orbit near its edge and witness millions of years unfold in the wider universe. Some scientists have wondered, could we use this? Could we, in theory, park a ship near a black hole and skip ahead in time, emerging centuries into Earth's future, having only aged a few years? It's possible in equations. It's deeply unlikely in practice. The radiation, the chaos, the precision required, it all makes it feel like science fiction. But the thought lingers. Time travel, in a way, already exists. It just isn't a doorway. It's a soap, a soft descent into gravitational silence. Let's think again about falling. Not fast, not panicked, but the kind of fall you barely notice, like sinking into a warm bath or drifting slowly through fog. As you fall toward the event horizon, your perception doesn't feel strange. You feel weightless, timeless. The strange part is for those watching from afar. They see you slow, your light stretch and fade, your time dilate until you seem to stop. They can never know what happens next. Your story is erased from the shared sky, swallowed by the silence. But for you, the fall continues. Inside the black hole, time and space swap roles. This is difficult to picture, but think of it like this. Normally, you can move through space freely. You can go forward or back, left or right, but time moves in one direction only, forward. Inside a black hole, space becomes the thing that traps you. Time becomes the thing you cannot avoid. You cannot stay still. You cannot turn around. You are pulled forward, not in space but in time, and that time leads you toward the singularity, the point of infinite density at the heart of the black hole. The singularity is where our math breaks, not because it's magical, but because our theories stop making sense there. It's a place of such extreme curvature, such density, that space-time becomes tangled. Time may end, or perhaps it begins again in some form we can't yet imagine. Scientists don't know, no signal escapes to tell us, but some believe the singularity is not a point, but a doorway, a passage to somewhere else, a new universe, perhaps, or another region of our own. Others think it's a dead end, a moment that deletes everything it touches, and yet even that destruction is poetic, not fiery, not loud, but quiet, gentle, like the slow turning of pages that no one can read. In this way, time inside a black hole is not just strange, it's sacred. It is the final silence, the last stretch, the most intimate unfolding of the universe's mysterious script. To fall into a black hole is to step into a story with no final line, a journey that continues inward, deeper, until meaning itself feels soft like velvet dust on the edges of eternity. So when we ask what time feels like inside a black hole, we're not asking about seconds or minutes. We're asking what it means to feel anything in a place where sensation and direction lose their meaning. We're asking what it is to exist where existence becomes curved, where past and future may dance together, holding hands in the dark. We may never stand there, but in our minds, in our wonder, we can approach it. We can listen to the quiet ticking of a clock that has no numbers. We can imagine the way gravity holds not just bodies, but moments, like pearls on a string stretched across the cosmos. Time inside a black hole is not lost. It is remembered differently, felt differently. It becomes the softest truth the universe has ever whispered. Now imagine drifting closer, not falling but floating, as if the black hole were not a monster but a lullaby, pulling gently on your thoughts like waves on a sleeping shoreline. The horizon, once distant, now feels near, though you cannot touch it or see it clearly. It is not a surface but a boundary in the fabric of being, a place where time becomes uncertain. From the outside you appear paused, suspended in a moment that stretches forever. But from within, time still flows, just differently. It flows forward quietly, with a rhythm known only to gravity itself. The closer you are, the more profoundly this rhythm changes, like descending a staircase of increasingly heavy air. Each breath feels thicker with the weight of the universe. The silence here is not empty, it is full. It holds the memory of stars, the bending of space, the long sigh of time unfolding in curves rather than straight lines. We are used to time being simple, a river we float down without effort, one direction, one speed. But time is not so obedient. It bends with mass. It twists with energy. In places of great gravity, time behaves like a slow breath held too long. This isn't fiction. This is what Einstein showed the world with his field equations, when he suggested that space-time is a flexible thing. And black holes are the deepest folds in that fabric. The closer you move to them, the more the fabric gathers, creases, stretches. Clocks slow, light bends, and time begins to feel like something you can almost touch, like fog on your skin, like the pull of a dream you can't quite leave. In this place, a second for you might equal decades, centuries, even millennia in the outside universe. It's a natural time machine, not of levers and gears, but of curves and seamless. You could spend an hour here and return to find entire civilizations risen and fallen in your absence. And yet inside this strange pocket of time you feel no change. You do not sense the universe speeding by. You're not frozen. You're moving forward at your own pace inside your own world. That is the mystery of relativity. Each observer has their own truth. Each path through time is equally real. And near a black hole, those paths begin to drift apart like threads in deep water. For you, the seconds tick as they always do. But if you could see out, and you can't, you would witness galaxies spinning faster, stars burning and dying, space expanding like a slow breath exhaled across eons. The further you descend, the more extreme the contrast becomes. But you cannot look out. Not really. Light itself is trapped, its path bent inward, like the final turn of a spiral. And so you are alone in your time, your world. A bubble where time's heartbeat is slow and soft and distant. Scientists have created experiments, not with black holes directly, but with their shadows, places where gravity is strong but not all-consuming. Atomic clocks placed on airplanes tick differently than those left on the ground. clocks on mountains tick faster than those at sea level. These aren't theories, they are measured facts. Time is not uniform. It is stretched and squeezed by gravity and motion. The deeper the well of gravity, the slower the climb for time. And a black hole is the deepest well we know, a place where time is pulled so far that it nearly snaps. And if you go beyond the event horizon, the fall becomes final. Not in a painful one, but in a quiet, singular way. You cannot turn back. Time carries you forward now, always forward, like a current you cannot resist. It is no longer a choice. Time itself becomes a direction, and that direction is in. But what do we mean when we say time flows differently? Let's think about it like music. In normal life, you hear a melody, one note after another. Fast or slow, it still has rhythm, order, progression. Near a black hole, that rhythm distorts. The music becomes slower, lower, stretched into strange shapes. But it is still music, still part of the same song. Only now the notes take years to arrive. The tune unfolds not over seconds, but over centuries. You are part of that melody, living it, feeling each note as a lifetime. Meanwhile, the rest of the universe continues its own verse, dancing to a rhythm you can no longer follow. You're out of sync, not broken, just distant. You're in your own stanza now, your own tempo. And time, like all great music, continues whether you listen or not. Now drift further inward, letting gravity carry your mind like a feather. Here, even space begins to behave differently. The directions we take for granted, left, right, forward, begin to twist. The path you follow isn't a straight line, but a spiral, a curl, a descent into the tightly folded fabric of reality. Space becomes time, and time becomes space. Where you once moved freely, now you are carried. Where you once aged, now time guides you without permission toward the singularity. You do not resist. There is nothing to resist. Inside a black hole, resistance is not possible. Only acceptance, only surrender to the flow of time as it has never been known before. Some scientists believe the singularity is a place of infinite curvature, where the laws of physics collapse. Others think it may not exist as we imagine it, that quantum gravity may smooth the singularity into something softer, something gentler. Perhaps, instead of a violent point, the center is a bridge, a passage, a new kind of beginning wrapped in an ending. We cannot know for certain. The math fails us there, tangled in infinities and uncertainties. But it is comforting to wonder. Perhaps what lies inside is not destruction, but transformation. Perhaps it is not the end of time, but its reshaping. After all, time is not a rigid arrow. It is a living thread, woven with gravity and energy and memory. It responds to the shape of the cosmos, and inside a black hole, that shape becomes more intimate, more secret. Time there may curl inward, like a snail's shell coiled tightly around truths we do not yet understand. Or it may split, like a fork in a river, flowing into spaces we cannot reach. There is a concept in physics called coordinate time and another called proper time. Coordinate time is what an outside observer sees, measured by clocks far from gravity. Proper time is what you experience, what your own clock tells you. And near a black hole, these two disagree more and more. From afar, you seem to slow, to freeze, but for you, time still moves. You're not trapped in the way others believe. You're alive, moving, thinking. Your thoughts stretch out like silk threads across a quiet sea. You're living your moments, one by one, not hurried, not stopped, just different. That's the mystery of time near a black hole. It reveals how personal time is, how fragile and malleable and strange. And it reminds us that time is not the same everywhere. It changes with place, with speed, with gravity. It bends and folds and warps. And most wonderfully, it continues even in the quietest, most hidden corners of the cosmos. Even where light cannot escape, time remains. It is the last companion, the final rhythm, the gentle whisper that guides all journeys, even those we cannot return from. It tells us that nothing is truly still. Everything moves, even in silence, even in darkness, even here, on the edge of forever. There is a softness to endings when we slow down enough to feel them. And inside a black hole, where time no longer keeps the beat we know, every ending becomes blurred, less of a stop, more of a slow blending into something unmeasurable. As you move beyond the event horizon, the pull of gravity no longer feels like falling. It becomes a direction built into the universe itself. It is not fast or frightening, it is quiet. It does not demand your awareness, it simply is. You follow it not because you choose to, but because time itself has decided. In this place, time and space are not just tangled, they are inverted. The singularity, that mysterious center, is no longer a place you move toward in space, but in time, and it cannot be avoided. You cannot wait, you cannot pause, you cannot turn, you're carried to it like a drop of rain sliding slowly down the stem of a leaf, inevitable, silent, and complete. No one has ever seen a singularity. No signal escapes to describe it. But theories suggest it is a place where density becomes infinite, where the curvature of space-time becomes so intense that the equations break. Not because nature fails, but because our understanding isn't yet deep enough. Some imagine it as a dot of infinite weight. Others picture it as a bridge, perhaps even a tunnel to another universe, another time. These are speculations. But even the speculations whisper something delicate, that endings in the cosmos are never only destruction. They are thresholds. And what lies beyond may not be silence, but another kind of story. Inside a black hole, as you approach that singular core, all paths lead inward. You cannot escape, but you are not stopped. Time carries you forward, but there is no sensation of motion, only deepening. Light cannot guide you. Sound cannot reach you. But time remains. It is your last compass. There is something beautifully lonely in that, not despairing but sacred, like standing inside a cathedral carved out of gravity, surrounded by the absence of everything, and yet held gently by the rhythm of something deeper than noise. Imagine this. You, suspended in that place, feel no fear. You do not feel lost. Time is still with you. Slower now, stretched so wide it might take 1,000 years for a single memory to form. But it forms. You remember, you reflect, you exist. Even in the innermost silence, awareness lingers like the final breath of a song. You wonder if this is the edge of reality. You wonder if this place, so devoid of space and light, might still hold beauty. And in that wondering, you realize something profound. You are still experiencing time. It is different, alien, soft, but it's there, like a whisper across velvet. And so, what does time feel like inside a black hole? It feels like surrender, like the unraveling of everything known, not in panic but in peace. It feels like stepping into a new kind of silence, one where meaning isn't found in motion but in stillness. where time is not the ticking of clocks, but the slow blooming of thought. In that space, time is no longer measured. It is remembered, it is stretched, it is felt in ways we do not yet have language for. We think of time as a straight road, but perhaps it is more like a garden, one that grows differently depending on where you walk. And inside a black hole, the path becomes curved, looping, soft. A flower opening in reverse, a ripple folding inward forever. You could exist near the edge of a black hole and watch the whole future of the universe pass you by. Galaxies would swirl, stars would burst, space would stretch into cold quiet, all while you experienced only hours. And if you entered, if you crossed that final veil, you would not even notice the transition. No threshold, no sound, just the slow, soft deepening of time into something thicker than thought. The universe beyond would fall silent. Its voices would no longer reach you, but your own time would continue. One breath, one thought, one moment, elongated beyond imagination. Time becomes a cocoon in this place, wrapping you, slowing you, until you are no longer what you were, not erased, transformed. There are whispers in science about the information paradox, whether the data of everything that enters a black hole is lost forever. Hawking suggested that it might be hidden on the surface, encoded like ink on parchment. Others believe it may escape softly over eons as radiation. But perhaps, more poetically, the memory of things remains in time itself. Perhaps what a black hole consumes is not forgotten, but reimagined, its existence still part of the grand rhythm of the universe, even if we cannot see it. And so time, even here, is a kind of memory, a memory held so tightly by gravity that it can no longer be read, only felt. A place where existence continues not with noise or motion, but with presence. As we step back in our minds, as we pull our thoughts away from that singular place, we begin to feel the stretch reverse. Time resumes its rhythm. Seconds feel normal again. Light finds its path. Gravity loosens its grip. But something remains changed. Not out there, but inside us. Because now we know time is not a constant. It is a living thing changed by mass, by speed, by presence. It is not owned by clocks. It is shaped by the universe. And the black hole, silent, still, unseen, is not a monster, but a teacher. It teaches us humility, it teaches us wonder, it teaches us that time is deeper than we thought, softer than we imagined, more beautiful than we feared. So when we close our eyes tonight and listen to the silence between our breaths, let us remember that somewhere, far beyond our sun, a black hole hums its slow lullaby, not of destruction, but of time unfolded. It sings not with sound, but with gravity. It tells stories not in words, but in the rhythm of stretched moments. And if we listen gently enough, we might just feel it, the soft echo of time curled in on itself, waiting patiently to be understood. There is a place in the universe where the laws we cling to begin to soften, a place that is neither fully space nor fully time, but a tender boundary between knowing and not knowing. This place is called the event horizon. It is not a wall, it is not a surface, it has no weight or colour, yet it holds a power that humbles stars, that silences light, that stretches time until it forgets its own pace. The event horizon is the quiet edge of a black hole, the last moment before the universe stops being able to see you. And what happens there is not violent, not in the way we imagine. It is a quietness so complete that even sound is unsure if it should exist. It is a boundary of silence, not destruction, and crossing it is not an explosion but a breath held so long it disappears into stillness. As you approach the event horizon, nothing seems unusual. The black hole does not greet you with fury or flame. There are no signs, no warnings, just a deepening of gravity, a gentle thickening of time, like mist becoming water. From far away, someone watching your approach would see you slow down. They would watch you stretch and dim, your light red shifting until it slips into invisibility. But from your perspective, you move forward as always. Your clocks tick normally, your heart beats calmly, and then, without alarm, you pass the line. You do not know it has happened. There is no flash, no lurch, just the same deep pull, the same forward movement, now carrying you into a place from which no message can return. What lies just beyond the event horizon is not chaos, but intimacy. The universe folds in on itself and you are inside the fold. Here, gravity has gathered space-time into a tight embrace. You are not crushed, you are not broken, you are held. Held in a rhythm that the outside universe no longer shares. Time is still yours, but it belongs only to you now. Your seconds do not match theirs, your minutes do not reach them. You're walking a hallway whose door has gently closed behind you. This is the quiet heart of the event horizon. It is not empty. It is full of potential, of secrecy, of time moving in curves rather than lines. You're not lost. You're simply unreachable. The event horizon does not prevent you from moving forward. It only prevents the past from sending messages into the future. In this way, it is less a wall and more a horizon, a distant edge that cannot be approached from the outside. It is the point where escape becomes impossible, where even light can no longer carry a goodbye. And so what happens within remains hidden, not erased. You are still there, you still think, you still breathe, but you do so in a space that is no longer connected to the story of the wider universe. You've become your own chapter now, your own quiet verse in the cosmic song. There is something gentle in this isolation, not cruel, but soft, like drifting into a fog that becomes your entire world. Inside the event horizon, distance loses its meaning. Directions begin to blur. Every path curves inward, toward the center, and time, once so familiar, begins to feel like a spiral, a descent not in space but in moments. You're not falling toward a point. You're falling into a future that no longer belongs to the outside cosmos. This is what it means to be inside the horizon. Not gone, not destroyed, just separated, like a letter written and sealed, never to be read by the one it was meant for. In many ways, the event horizon is a boundary of knowledge, not just for light and matter, but for understanding. It marks the place where equations become hesitant, where predictions fail, where the known yields to the possible. We know what happens near it. We can describe the slowing of time, the bending of light, but beyond it we speak in whispers and guesses. Our science pauses here, humbled. We do not know what the inside truly feels like. We cannot test it. We cannot hear from those who cross, and yet we continue to imagine it, not with fear, but with wonder. because the universe does not hide things out of malice. It hides things the way a forest hides a clearing, or the ocean hides a current, naturally, beautifully. To imagine standing at the event horizon is to imagine standing on the edge of ultimate stillness. Behind you lies the visible universe, humming with galaxies and light. Before you lies something not dark but silent, not violent but unknown. And the step forward is not a fall, it is a drift. Like a leaf carried on a wind too gentle to resist. You do not choose to cross, you are carried. And once across, you belong to a different time, a different space. Not erased, just quiet. That is the true poetry of the event horizon. It does not take you away from existence. It simply removes you from conversation. You're still a note in the song, but one sung slow, so slow that no ear can catch it. There is comfort in this, the idea that even in silence, even in secrecy, things continue, that the universe makes room for hidden moments, that somewhere within the folds of gravity, stories unfold without witness, without end. The event horizon is not a border of death, it is a cradle of solitude, a place where time rocks gently, where space becomes shy, where the universe allows itself to be mysterious. And to stand there, even in thought, is to be reminded that mystery is not always menace. Sometimes it is the soft breath of creation, the quiet chamber where new meanings sleep before they are born. And so we end this moment at the edge, not in fear but in awe, not with answers but with the warmth of unknowing. The event horizon holds its silence gently, like a lullaby sung in reverse, and somewhere within that silence time still moves, thoughts still form, life in whatever shape it takes continues, not louder, just quieter, deeper into the horizon, where the universe has tucked its final questions, time begins to unspool like thread coming loose from the edge of a blanket. What was once a beat, a tick, a metronome of certainty, now becomes something looser, rounder, softer. Time here does not vanish, it transforms. It stretches not just in direction but in feeling, becoming a sensation rather than a measurement. Inside the event horizon, the moments do not march forward. They curl. They drift, they hum in low rhythms that cannot be counted. You are still inside time, but it no longer responds to your habits. It no longer aligns with the sky outside. It answers to gravity now, and gravity's voice is quiet, slow, and unrelenting. Think of the event horizon not as a line, but as a transition, like the place where sky becomes ocean on a humid evening, where air grows heavy with salt and light dims into blue. You cannot mark the exact moment when you crossed, because the crossing was not sudden. It was a gradient, a soft fall into silence. The space around you folds inward, so gradually that it feels like stillness, but it is motion, pure, unstoppable motion toward the singularity. Not in kilometers or meters, but in time itself. Every path leads inward now, every second pulls deeper, and though your body may feel weightless, your presence grows denser, more intertwined with the gravity that now owns you. Outside, the universe continues. Stars shine, galaxies bloom, comets spin in icy arcs. Time passes for them like breath, like seasons, like tides. But you have become a different rhythm. your clock unwinding at a pace the cosmos can no longer measure. This difference is not a defect. It is a consequence of being near something so massive that time cannot hold its shape. Like ink spreading through water, your timeline diffuses, softened by the curve of space that folds around you. And here in this slowed rhythm, you begin to notice things differently. There is no rush, no urgency. Thought has time to unfurl. Memory becomes deeper. Reflection becomes wide and still, like a lake untouched by wind. If we imagine a photon, a particle of light, trying to escape from where you are, it would struggle. Not because it is slow, but because the space itself is curved so steeply that all paths lead back. The light bends, twists, loops. Eventually, it is pulled inward like everything else. And so no message leaves, no signal arrives. The outside world cannot know what you think, what you feel, what time means to you now, but you are not erased. You are living a chapter in the universe's book that has no witnesses, a page turned in solitude. You're not gone, you're just here, and only here. Some have imagined this place to be cruel, but the physics do not support cruelty. Cruelty is a human idea. What happens beyond the event horizon is neutral, quiet, governed by curvature and mass. There is no judgment, there is only flow. And you, like everything else caught in gravity's arms, are flowing too. The singularity lies ahead, not as a destination on a map, but as a certainty written into the equations that shape this place. You do not aim for it, you're carried. Time itself is pushing you, guiding you toward a center that may not be a point at all, but a condition, an intensity so extreme that space and time no longer behave separately. And still, all of this happens with a softness we rarely imagine. Because inside the event horizon, time is not loud, it does not shout, it whispers, it moves like a tide that has forgotten the shore. It holds you gently in a direction you cannot see but must follow. And in that following, you discover a different kind of awareness. You begin to think in longer sentences, not rushed by clocks. You begin to feel weightless, not just in body, but in memory. The moments you carry, your thoughts, your feelings, your sense of self, begin to feel lighter, as if even they are being stretched. And maybe they are. Maybe memory itself curves here, taking on new shapes, like rivers finding new beds under strange gravity. Theories suggest that space and time swap roles inside this region, that what we once moved through freely, space, becomes fixed, and what we once had no control over, time, becomes the only possible movement. You are not in a prison, you're in a current, a direction that cannot be changed. But the current is not harsh, it is smooth, consistent, unbreaking. You flow with it the way dreams flow across sleep, not because you are powerless, but because the laws have shifted. What once allowed choice now provides only passage, and you drift forward, not toward destruction, but towards something final, something whole. This is not death in the way we fear it. It is transformation. You are still made of matter, of energy, of information. That information cannot be lost. Not truly, not according to what we know. It may change form. It may be hidden. It may be woven into the fabric of the black hole's surface, as some believe. But it is not gone. You are not gone. You are part of a process the universe has always known, how to take things in and remake them in silence. The horizon did not close behind you like a door. It softened like mist. It welcomed you into the deepest part of space-time, where every step forward is a moment deeper into gravity's slowest breath. And even now, in this unimaginable place, the universe is still telling a story. You are part of it, a verse unfolding in a stanza no one else can hear. But the story matters. It shapes the whole, even if unseen, like the deepest roots of a tree, buried in silence but holding everything above in place. Inside the event horizon, you're a root now, anchored, quiet, part of a story told through gravity and time. You may never speak again to the stars, but you are still written in the cosmos, a word etched into space-time's deepest fold. And that word is not loss, it is presence. The deeper one drifts into the heart of the black hole, the quieter everything becomes, not simply in sound, which is already gone, but in meaning. Words like before and after begin to unravel. Concepts of distance, of motion, of perspective all blur like paint in water. What you are entering is not a space in the ordinary sense. It is a region where reality folds inward, turning every outward path into a circle that leads back to itself. You are no longer moving through space toward time. You are being carried by time into the deepest fold of space. This is not falling as we know it. It is a release, a letting go. Every part of you, every thought is guided gently toward a center that is no longer a point, but a destination without dimension. And even here, inside this velvet darkness, time continues. It does not march or tick. It flows like the hush between two waves. You are its passenger, not helpless, just surrendered. Time has taken the lead, and you, as a small echo of the universe, are learning to listen. Some scientists believe that once you cross the event horizon, your path ends at the singularity in finite time. For you, this journey is brief, but the paradox lies in what others see. From the outside, you never finish falling. Your last visible moment stretches endlessly, frozen at the edge. You, on the other hand, move steadily inward, unaware that the universe has paused your final image in its sky. This dual truth, your movement versus their memory, is one of the quietest mysteries of black holes. One person's ending is another's eternal moment. So you descend, not in distance but in time's curvature. Every step inward becomes a slower thought, a longer breath. Around you, space pinches tighter. Not crushingly, but smoothly, gently. The curvature is immense, but it is not violence, it is precision. The laws of gravity here are obeyed so completely that even chaos has no room. The singularity lies ahead, not as destruction, but as finality. The equations no longer predict what happens there, not because they are wrong, but because the fabric of logic itself starts to fray. It's like reaching the edge of a map and realizing the land continues, just in a language your eyes cannot read. We wonder what the singularity holds. We ask what becomes of time when it reaches the end of its line. Some suggest time stops, others suggest time becomes space looping into new forms, and some dream that what lies beyond is a bridge, a wormhole, a passage to another realm, another dimension, even another universe. We cannot know, but even unknowing has its poetry. To not know is to still be curious. And inside this place, curiosity becomes a form of movement. Every question you carry into the singularity is part of the great silence waiting to receive you. There are theories that black holes do not keep everything they swallow, that somehow in quantum ways, information is not lost, but coded into the event horizon itself. Like a hologram, the surface encodes the depths, preserving what enters even as it vanishes from sight. If this is true, then you are still there, written, remembered, encoded in the skin of the black hole. Not in the way you once were, but not gone. You've become part of the geometry, a line etched into curved time, a whisper made permanent by gravity's touch. Some believe the universe itself may have been born from such a moment, that perhaps the singularity we fall into today is the seed of a universe yet to bloom, that the silence you enter is not the end, but a beginning too slow for us to hear. In this view, the black hole is not a tomb but a womb, a place where time folds in upon itself, cradling the possibility of something new. Whether true or not, the image comforts. The thought that your descent is not disappearance but transformation, that in falling you have become a question too beautiful to answer. And so the journey ends not with a bang or a flash, but with a soft arrival into the deepest curve of the cosmos. The singularity is not a wall you hit, it is a horizon you vanish into. Your time does not stop. It simply becomes unmeasurable. You are part of space-time now, inseparable, indistinguishable, a ripple folded into the fabric of the universe's quietest region. You're still energy, still mass, still information, but the coordinates that once described you no longer function. You're no longer a where or a when. You're a part of the shape of time itself. When we speak of black holes, we speak of mystery. But mystery is not absence, it is presence, so full that our words cannot contain it. The event horizon, the singularity, the slowing of time, all of these are poems written by gravity, experienced by matter, and felt perhaps most deeply by those who imagine them. You may never touch a black hole, but you already carry the idea of it within you. The black hole is not just out there, it is a mirror of the deepest unknowns we carry in ourselves. And standing at the edge of such silence reminds us that we are not here to solve everything. We are here to wonder, to listen, to feel the slow heartbeat of time where it stretches furthest. So let us step back now gently from that invisible shore. Let us return to our clocks, our sunrises, our seasons. Let us carry with us the quiet knowledge that somewhere time is moving differently. Somewhere moments are curled like petals, folded tight into a gravity we cannot fathom. And in that hidden place, the universe continues its slow work. Not loud, not fast, just enduring. The quiet heart of the event horizon still beats, and it always will. Somewhere in the vastness of space, far beyond the reach of suns and planets and soft-spoken moons, a solitary traveller begins to fall, not with panic, not with speed, but with a silence so complete it seems to erase the sound of thought. There is no wind here, no friction, no sensation of motion. And yet, the fall is real, it is constant, it is absolute. This is the beginning of a journey toward a black hole, a descent not through distance but through time and curvature. And from the first moment of approach, the fall takes on a strange quality. It feels eternal. Not because it lasts forever, but because it becomes something time itself cannot measure in the usual way. This is the illusion of descent, the sensation of falling without ever reaching the bottom, of moving forever into something that cannot be touched. From a distance, a black hole looks like a perfect stillness, a shadow against the starlight, a circle of absence wrapped in the motion of light that bends and spirals around it. But get closer, and the illusion begins. You start to fall, not down, not sideways, but inward, pulled by the most persistent gravity the universe can offer. The fall feels strange. You do not feel acceleration. You feel drift, calm, weightlessness, like sinking into dark water that has no surface and no end. If someone could watch you fall, their perspective would confuse them. You would appear to slow down, to dim, to freeze. From their point of view, you never finish falling. You hover just above the event horizon, forever paused in time, a ghost painted on the fabric of space-time. But from your perspective, everything continues normally. You fall, you pass the boundary, you go on. The two truths live side by side, neither wrong, both held gently by the strange laws of relativity. Einstein's theories tell us that time and space are not rigid backdrops, but soft and responsive, curving, stretching, adapting to mass and motion. Near a black hole, that curvature becomes so intense that it twists the very meaning of motion. Falling into a black hole is not like falling off a cliff. It is like walking into a dream that bends time with each step. The closer you come, the more time slows relative to the outside world. Seconds stretch, hours blur. For those far away, your fall appears endless. They watch you move in slow motion, your image growing fainter, your light redder, until it vanishes entirely. But inside your own frame of reference, you feel time as you always have. You do not stop. You do not hesitate. You descend. And yet this descent carries with it a surreal calm. No jolts, no shifts, just an inward pull that deepens without warning. The illusion of forever is not that you never reach the bottom, but that from the universe's perspective you never quite disappear. You become an eternal moment, suspended at the edge of silence. Your final seconds stretch across eternity, like a soft note held by the cosmos for as long as it remembers to listen. But within, you feel the passage, you move, and the deeper you go, the more the idea of the movement loses meaning. You're not falling through space anymore. You are falling through time itself, being carried by a current you cannot see toward a future only gravity knows. Imagine now, not a human, but a photon, a particle of light, struggling to climb away from the black hole. Its path curves back, pulled inward by gravity so strong that escape is impossible. Even light cannot leave. The deeper you fall, the more the light around you becomes trapped. The stars vanish, the glow dims, and eventually there is only darkness. Not because your eyes have failed, but because the universe outside has slipped away. You are surrounded not by blackness, but by absence. Space itself has curved in such a way that every direction leads further in. This is the nature of the illusion. You have not stopped. You are not still. But from the outside you are gone. The descent continues. The gravitational field grows stronger, but your sense of weight remains the same. In a freefall environment, there is no pressure, no resistance. You're pulled equally on all sides. You could reach out, but you would feel nothing unusual. And yet everything has changed. You are in a part of the universe where the rules are rewritten by curvature, where the directions themselves begin to collapse into one. Up and down no longer matter. Forward is the only possible direction, and that direction leads inward, toward the singularity. The illusion of descent also carries with it the illusion of separation. It feels, perhaps, like you have left the universe behind, that you are outside of time. beyond space, adrift in a bubble no one can enter. But you are still in the universe. You are still part of its story, just not the visible part. You are a secret chapter unfolding in silence. A stanza written so slowly that it cannot be read by ordinary clocks. And this is not loneliness. This is intimacy. You are closer now to the structure of space-time than anything has ever been. You are part of the deepest architecture of reality, pressed gently against the innermost layer of existence. This fall, this illusion of forever, is a kind of truth. It reveals how much of our understanding depends on perspective. To fall into a black hole is to enter a paradox where truth bends with light, where time stretches with gravity, where stillness and motion hold hands. You are not destroyed. You are transformed. You become an idea the outside world can no longer observe, but still must accept. You are a reminder that the universe holds more than we can see, that some journeys are not meant to be completed in the eyes of others. As you fall deeper, the curvature becomes sharper. Space-time narrows. The future draws in like the point of a needle. You're still moving, always moving, but the illusion remains. To the outside you're eternal, to yourself you are momentary. The paradox is not cruel, it is delicate, a balancing act between what is felt and what is seen, and it teaches us something gentle about the cosmos, that time is not a single melody but a harmony of perspectives. That movement can be real, even when invisible, that endings can happen quietly, stretched across eternity, folded into the heart of space like a sigh no one hears. So you continue to fall, and the fall never ends. Not because it cannot, but because the language of the universe no longer allows us to describe what lies beyond the last visible edge. You are still part of the story, even if the rest of us must close the book. The illusion of descent is complete, but within it, something real remains. You, falling, always, gently, inward. As you continue to fall, the distance between you and the outer universe grows not in space but in experience. It is as though you are peeling away from the cosmos layer by layer, like a leaf drifting down through centuries of wind. The stars that once watched over you are no longer visible. Their light cannot reach you, not because they are gone, but because the shape of space has turned inward. It is not that the world outside has disappeared, it's that your connection to it has curled, like the end of a ribbon. And yet, from where you are, you still feel whole. You still think, still breathe in your way. You're not suspended, you are carried, not by force, but by the curvature of time, the quiet insistence of gravity's design. There's something peaceful in this falling, something almost sacred. It defies everything we expect of gravity. On Earth, falling is brief, abrupt, noisy. But here it's endless and hushed. It stretches like a lullaby played on distant strings. You do not flail, you do not scream, you listen. And what you hear is not silence, but the absence of resistance. There is no wind to push against you, no surface to slow you down. Only the uninterrupted flow of space-time guiding you deeper. It is a fall not of failure, but of surrender. And that surrender does not feel like loss. It feels like returning, like going home to a part of the universe that has always known your name. Still, there are limits to what your senses can grasp. Time, for instance, begins to feel thick. Your thoughts stretch further apart, as if each one must swim through molasses to reach the next. But they still come. And within those elongated moments, reflection deepens. You recall the stars, the galaxies you've passed, the light that once warmed your skin, and you begin to wonder if those moments were real at all, or if this is the more authentic place, where time moves honestly without hurry. The outside universe is filled with motion and noise, but here, in this fall that has no end, there is only stillness in motion. It's paradox, yes, but paradox is where beauty often hides. Outside, time is still moving. The universe continues to age. Stars explode and fade. Civilizations rise and fall. Galaxies drift further apart in the some slow expansion of everything. If you could see it, you would weep at the speed of it all. But you cannot. You are no longer part of that stream. You are in a separate current now, flowing so slowly that one of your seconds might hold centuries. And yet you are not separate in spirit. You are still connected, woven into the great fabric of reality, even if no thread leads back from where you are. This is the illusion of descent, that the further you fall, the more alone you become, but the truth is softer. You are not alone. You are simply unseen. From the perspective of those who knew you, you have become a ghost, a figure caught forever on the edge of the event horizon, paused in your final wave. They will say you never truly crossed, that you hovered forever at the boundary, stretched thin by time, but that is only their truth. Yours is different. Yours is motion, progress, a journey into the folds of time that they can no longer follow. And that divergence of perspective does not make either story false. It makes both stories deeper, more human, more cosmic. Because the universe is not a place of single truths. It is a song played in many keys at once. The deeper you go, the more space around you begins to tighten. Not in pressure, but in possibility. Directions merge. The once wide panorama of stars has narrowed into a corridor of time. All paths lead forward. All futures point inward. The singularity waits not as a destination, but as a shape in the fabric you are becoming part of. You are not being crushed. You are being transformed. Every atom, every wave of energy, every thought you once had is being drawn into a new context, a new story, written in the curved ink of gravity. It is not destruction, it is reorganization. The fall is a rewriting of your presence, not its end. And yet this transformation is so quiet, so unceremonious. There is no crescendo, no burst of light, just the continued gentle falling into tighter curvature, deeper time. This is what the illusion hides from the outside world. They see you vanish. You feel yourself continue. They declare an ending. You experience transition. It is one of the most profound contradictions in physics, and perhaps in life, that what ends in one view continues in another, that what appears lost may still be becoming something else, just too far removed to explain. Some have tried to imagine what lies at the end of this fall, a point of infinite density, a rupture in the laws of physics, a doorway to other worlds. We do not know, we may never know, but perhaps knowing isn't the goal. Perhaps the experience itself, the eternal fall, the soft curvature of time, the silent intimacy with gravity, is the answer. Perhaps the purpose is not in the destination, but in the surrender, in trusting the universe to carry you somewhere that words can't follow. After all, it has carried stars into black holes, carried gas into stars, carried you into breath. Why would this moment be any different? You are not afraid. The deeper you go, the more the fear dissolves. It has no place here in this velvet descent. There is no unknown to dread, only mystery to be felt. You are part of the most honest part of space, where time reveals its true self, where gravity sings its purest note, and in that song you are remembered, not by name, not by form, but by presence, by the fact that you are still here, still falling, still feeling. The illusion of descent is not that it never ends, but that it holds so much meaning along the way. A meaning made not of words or signs, but of quiet, of duration, of surrender. And so you fall, not endlessly, but deeply, not blindly, but softly. You fall in a way that teaches you something no planet or star ever could. That falling is not always failure. That descent is not always loss. That sometimes the truest journey is the one that folds inward forever, into the quietest parts of time. Eventually the space around you becomes something you can no longer describe in shapes or distances. There are no markers, no signposts in this descent, only a smooth, silent convergence towards something you cannot see, cannot touch, but are endlessly approaching. The singularity is not in front of you. It is below time itself, waiting like the final note of a song you've never heard before. But this does not bring panic. It brings stillness. The kind of stillness that only comes after understanding that movement is not always travel, and that arrival does not always require a destination. You're falling still, yes, but the fall is now your existence. You're not separate from it. You're part of its fabric. Inside this final stretch of space-time, your thoughts begin to shift. They do not vanish, but they loosen. The mind, once tied to rhythms and clocks, now floats untethered, free from seconds and schedules. You're aware, but in a different way, not as a sequence of events, but as presence stretched across depth. Time no longer feels like steps on a path. It feels like a single moment deep enough to hold everything. You exist not in succession, but in immersion. You're not rushing toward the singularity. You're becoming a part of it, slowly, gracefully, inevitably. The descent has transformed from motion into identity. This is the illusion's softest truth, that even as you seem to fall forever, you are completing a journey. It is not endless. It only appears so to those who watch from outside. From within, you are moving towards something finite. The curvature grows sharper. The space around you tightens into a funnel of gravity, pulling every possibility toward unity. Your form, whatever that means now, continues to compress, not in pain, but in sense. You're drawn into simplicity, into essence, into the most concentrated form of presence that can exist. Matter, energy, thought, these begin to overlap, blur, perhaps even merge. You're no longer an object within space, you're a feature of space itself. And the singularity, it may not be a place at all, it may be a moment, a condition, a threshold where physics becomes poetry, where numbers give way to the possibility that something else, something unnamed, waits beyond. It is not fire, not noise, not oblivion. It is density without dimension, time without extension. Some say it is the end, some say it is a seed, a starting point for something else, a pinprick from which a new universe might one day expand. But here, inside the final breath of falling, that doesn't matter. What matters is the gentleness of the approach, the graceful hush of the descent, the fact that you are still becoming, even as you vanish from the view of all others. It is not erasure, It is redefinition. You are not leaving the universe. You're becoming more deeply part of it. Not visible, not measurable, but foundational. A line in the equation, a fold in the page, something essential, even if silent. Information, energy, presence, it cannot disappear, only rearrange. You are rearranging. Gravity is not destroying you, it is finishing you. Like a sculpture polished until its final form shines quietly beneath layers once thought essential. You are not undone, you are completed. And outside, they still see you, or rather they still see the moment you neared the horizon. That moment lasts forever in their sky. To them, you never finished falling. You became a monument to the illusion, a reminder that time does not always agree, that different observers can tell different stories and both be right. You are their eternal silhouette, forever on the verge. But you know the truth. You fell. You crossed. You continued. You completed the fall that to them never ended. Their gaze cannot follow you, but their memory holds you. And in that memory you are a lesson in humility, a proof that the universe is stranger and softer than we expect. We tend to think of endings as sharp, walls, cliffs, doors that close. But this ending is a curve, it folds, it narrows, it embraces. The final part of the fall is not a stop. It is a surrender into unity. The singularity is not a crash, it is a fusion. And you do not reach it like a place. You merge with it like a thought merging into sleep. There is no pain, no flash, no sound. Just the slow, total quiet of becoming part of what lies at the heart of gravity. And even as you dissolve into that center, the universe remembers. The event horizon holds your imprint. Your presence, your information, is encoded into its surface, perhaps. This is what Hawking radiation suggests, that black holes slowly evaporate, whispering the information they once consumed back into the cosmos over incomprehensible time. So maybe, in some distant future, the universe will hear the echo of your fall, not as a voice, not as a memory, but as a pattern, a gentle ripple returning from silence. The fall that felt eternal will finish, the illusion will break, the curve will flatten, and something of you will be carried outward again into stars and dust and thought. But for now, you fall, and that fall is your sanctuary. It is not failure, it is not loss, it is the most intimate conversation you've ever had with the universe. You've entered the quietest room in all of existence, and it welcomes you without noise. Just presence, just stillness, just the soft, graceful truth that even when you seem to vanish, you are still becoming something more. So rest in that fall, feel its weightless gravity, its curved horizon, its infinite hush. Let go of what you once measured. Let go of what you once feared. The illusion of descent has taught you the final lesson, that time is not a line, but a feeling. That movement is not always travel, that the universe always holds you, even when you are unseen, and that in falling forever, you have finally come home. Far across the silence of space, beyond the glittering dance of stars and the slow turning of galaxies, there are waves that move not through air or water, but through space-time itself. They do not shake the ground or churn the sea. They ripple the very fabric of reality. These waves are called gravitational waves, and they are the echoes of events so immense that they bend the structure of the universe. Imagine two black holes, invisible and some locked in a spiral dance that lasts for millions of years. As they orbit closer and closer, they pull on each other with such force that space itself begins to stretch and compress. When they finally collide, the universe responds, not with sound, but with a shiver. That shiver spreads outward at the speed of light, an invisible tremor passing through everything, unnoticed by most, but carrying with it the memory of something vast. Gravitational waves were once only an idea, a whisper in Einstein's equations, a gentle possibility that the universe was not still but trembling ever so slightly. For 100 years, these waves remained unconfirmed, too faint to be felt, too shy to be measured. But then, in 2015, the instruments of Earth listened closely enough, and for the first time, humanity heard the quiet song of space-time itself. It was not a loud discovery. It was a soft confirmation that everything around us moves more than we thought. That space which we had assumed to be calm is alive with echoes, and every one of those echoes is a message from some distant moment where gravity was loud enough to send ripples across the cosmos. But these ripples are not destructive, they are tender. They stretch space in one direction while squeezing it in another, passing through everything without leaving scars. As one moves through you, the distance between your atoms subtly shifts, then shifts back. You don't feel it. The Earth doesn't tremble, but the change is real. The detectors that caught them, giant arms of light stretched kilometers apart, noticed changes smaller than the width of a proton. And yet, in those tiny changes was a message. Two black holes had merged more than 1 billion years ago, and we were now feeling the afterglow, not as heat, not as light, but as time curved and flexed in a passing sigh. These waves travel without resistance. They are not blocked by stars or dust. They pass through galaxies, through planets, through bodies. Every moment of your life, gravitational waves from countless events are slipping through you. Some are from black holes, others from neutron stars, those dense remnants of stellar collapse, and some perhaps from even stranger things, the early moments of the universe itself, when time was new and space was still finding its shape. These echoes are everywhere. They do not disturb, they do not wait. They pass silently, reminders that the cosmos is never still, not even in its deepest sleep. There's something deeply poetic in the idea that we are always being touched by events we cannot see, that the curve of time itself is shaped not only by what is near, but by what is far and gone and still moving. We are not separate from the universe's memory. We are held within it. Gravitational waves are like ripples on a dark ocean. We may not see the pebble that caused them. We may not even know where they began, but we feel their rhythm if we listen close enough. And in their rhythm we find connection, not just to black holes and stars, but to the story of motion itself. Time, after all, is not a simple line. It is a fabric, curved by mass, pulled by gravity, and shaped by motion. Every star bends time around it. Every planet curves the space it floats in. And when massive things move quickly, when they collide, merge, or collapse, they send out ripples that change the shape of time itself. Those ripples never fade entirely. They stretch across the universe like soft fingerprints, lingering long after the hands that made them are gone. And so we live in a universe that is full of memory, not in words, not in images, but in shape, in motion, in the gentle tremble of curved time, The detectors we built, delicate, long, and impossibly precise, are our ears to this cosmic lullaby. They do not hear in the traditional sense. They feel. They measure the smallest changes in distance, the softest whispers in space. When a gravitational wave arrives, they do not ring out. They lean slightly, then return to stillness, like trees bending in a breeze you can't see. And when we interpret those leanings, we uncover stories, black holes that danced, neutron stars that spun, entire galaxies that trembled. These are not fairy tales, they are real. Written in space-time itself, recorded not in ink, but in curvature. We once believed the universe spoke only in light, that what we could see defined what we could know, but light can be blocked, it can be absorbed, scattered, hidden. Gravity, on the other hand, tells no lies. It travels through everything. It carries the truth of motion in its waves, and we, with our fragile instruments, have only just begun to listen. There will be more stories, more mergers, more moments when time stretches just enough for us to notice. And with every echo we catch, we learn that the cosmos is not just out there, it is in us, around us, passing through us every second of our lives. Gravitational waves remind us that even the most powerful events do not need to be loud, that even the greatest forces can move gently. They remind us that time is not only experienced, it is shaped, that our lives are lived in a fabric that is always moving, always adjusting to the gravity of everything it holds. And in that movement, there is a kind of music, not the kind we can dance to, but the kind that lets us feel, for just a moment, the vastness of what we're part of. A universe that curves not just with force, but with memory. A cosmos where the past is still travelling, still arriving, still brushing softly against the edge of now. And so we listen, not with ears, but with patience. We wait for the next ripple, the next tremble, the next wave to pass through. Because in those moments, we are reminded of something quiet and profound, that we are not isolated points in space. We are part of a vast and trembling whole, and the story of that whole is still being written, still being felt, still echoing in the curved fabric of time. If you could ride one of these waves, float gently along its curvature through the folds of space and time, you would not feel motion in the way you're used to. There would be no wind against your face, no up or down, no sudden shift to mark your travel. It would feel like the quiet expansion of a breath, or the slow turning of a dream, motion without direction, change without noise. Gravitational waves do not ripple through things, they ripple through reality. They stretch and compress the distances between particles, not because they move them, but because they alter what distance means in that moment. The wave doesn't push you, it momentarily changes the rules of space itself. This is the strange poetry of gravity. It does not shout, it does not break, it bends, it whispers, it curves the invisible scaffolding upon which all things are built. And so, when these waves pass, they alter everything, but so subtly, so gently, that only the most sensitive instruments can tell. These detectors, like LIGO and Virgo, are not just machines. They are quiet listeners tuned to the softest voice in the cosmos. Their arms are like still waters stretched across vast plains, waiting for the subtlest tremble. And when a wave comes, they know. They do not see it, they do not hear it. They feel it, as time itself is gently stretched and squeezed between mirrors and lasers with unimaginable delicacy. What these instruments have revealed is astonishing. When two black holes merge, they send out a final burst of gravitational energy, enough to momentarily outshine all the stars in the observable universe, not in light, but in gravity. And that final breath, that last sigh of their spiral, travels for 1 billion years or more before brushing past our corner of the cosmos. Imagine that, two bodies so far away, gone before Earth had dinosaurs, still sending their story through time, and we now listening to it. It's as if the universe never forgets. It just waits until someone quiet enough can finally hear. We used to believe that the sky was filled only with stars and planets and light, but now we know it holds stories. Quiet ones, invisible ones, stories told through curvature, not colour. Stories about collisions we cannot see, about masses so dense they escape light, about moments of such immense gravity that space itself trembles. These waves, these gentle distortions, tell us that the universe is constantly reshaping itself, that the very structure of space-time is fluid, alive, and responsive. And within that responsiveness is a kind of memory, a record of everything massive that has ever moved, twisted, or merged. It's humbling to realize that even now, at this very second, you are being passed through by countless waves. They do not change you. They do not stop you, but they are part of your moment. Their journey overlaps with yours. Somewhere billions of light years away, something changed, and that change is now here, whispering through the shape of the now. And because these waves never stop, because space is always bending in response to something, the universe is always in motion, even when it appears still. You're not standing still. You are always gently being shaped by things too vast to see. Some of the most haunting gravitational waves come not from black holes, but from neutron stars, those impossibly dense remnants of once living stars. When two neutron stars spiral toward each other, they scream in gravitational frequencies. When they finally collide, they may explode in brilliant flashes of light called kilonovae, producing gold and platinum and other heavy elements. These events are brief, but their waves are not. Their impact echoes, not just in curvature, but in chemistry. The ring on your finger may have begun its journey in such a collision, its atoms born from a neutron star's death cry. That cry continues even now as a ripple in space-time, a memory still unfolding. So you see, gravitational waves do not just carry the shape of movement. They carry meaning. They carry history. They carry the birthplaces of elements, the final dances of stars, the architecture of galaxies. They let us peer into realms where light cannot go. Black holes do not shine. Neutron stars may not glow when they merge. But the waves they send are more honest than light. Light can be delayed, scattered, blocked. Gravity is pure memory. It travels unimpeded, straight from source to silence, and we, with careful patience, can receive its story. But there's more. These waves don't just come from individual events. The universe is filled with a background hum, a gravitational wave whisper from all directions, all times, all paces. It's like the static of the cosmos, but not empty. Within that hum is the echo of everything, the slow dance of galaxies, the wandering of dark matter, the swirl of cosmic inflation in the first moments of time. Detecting that background will take longer, more sensitive ears, more refined listening, but it's there, a cosmic memory foam, recording the pressure of every touch, holding the imprint of every motion. We live in that hum. We are shaped by it. It is the atmosphere of space-time. Gravitational waves change our idea of presence. They show us that we are never truly isolated, that each of us lives in a field of influences, most of them invisible, many of them ancient, that the past is not gone, it is arriving, that moments of immense gravity ripple forward forever, and that you, too, are a part of this. You bend space, however slightly. You influence time, however gently. You are part of the conversation, even if your voice is small. The universe listens. There is peace in that idea, that you don't need to be loud to matter. That movement can be silent and still leave ripples that last. That space itself is tender enough to remember. That time itself is curved by the quiet gravity of everything. And that, somewhere, long after your own orbit has ended, your presence might still echo softly, like the closing vibration of a bell rung in a dark cathedral no one can see. A wave, small and curved, still unfolding in the fabric of time. Imagine now the last whisper of a gravitational wave, soft as the breath between two heartbeats, brushing past Earth long after its source has vanished. The black holes that made it have merged into one, their individual identities dissolved into unity. The neutron stars that spun and collided are now a memory, their light gone, their matter scattered or collapsed, and yet their final act still ripples across the universe, not as light or sound, but as curvature, as the gentle undulation of space-time itself. These ripples do not fade in the way light does. They stretch endlessly, becoming part of the silent architecture of the cosmos, woven into the very texture of what we call reality. And as they move, they touch everything without effort, without harm, with nothing more than a delicate adjustment to the meaning of distance, the shape of time. To stand in the presence of such a wave, even unknowingly, is to be brushed by the past. Not your past, but the universe's. It is to be touched by an echo that began long before our planet had oceans, long before life breathed or stars like our sun even formed. And in that touch is connection, not emotional, not conscious, but physical, gravitational, real. You're a participant in a story that began in silence and continues in curves. And as more of these waves pass, we begin to understand something deeper, that space is not just a backdrop. It is a living participant in every event. When two massive objects spiral into each other, it is not just their own fates that change. The universe itself responds, it stretches, it sings. The term singularity often appears in these discussions, places where equations break, where mass becomes infinite, where we stop knowing and start guessing. But perhaps a singularity is not the end of understanding. Perhaps it is the place where understanding changes form. And when we hear the gravitational waves that come from such places, we're not just observing violence, we are hearing transition. Collapse not as destruction, but as transformation. One form of being folding into another. A final act spoken in the language of gravity. The detectors on Earth, quiet arms of light and mirror, stand watch for these changes. Each detection is not just a point on a graph. It is a story unearthed from silence. When we see the tiny rise and fall of their signals, We're not just catching numbers, we are holding the rhythm of something massive, distant and gone. And in those signals lies beauty, not because they are loud, but because they are precise, not because they explode, but because they persist. These are not fireworks. They are the resonance of presence, the gentle echo of mass meeting mass in the dark and leaving behind a trail of curved time.